Good morning. It's been a couple weeks since I've done one of these. Supposed to do one last Friday because originally when I started this, my goal was to kind of do these on a weekly basis. But to be honest, I don't know. Last week I just kind of wasn't feeling it. I also had something, I forget what I was doing Friday afternoon, but the weekend kind of just got away from me. And yeah, I kind of lost a little bit of motivation to do a weekly check-in. So that's why I kind of wanted to wait another week to be like, all right, within another week, I'll have stuff to talk about. I do have a list of things per usual that I kind of want to reflect on. But yeah, it got me thinking on, I want to stay consistent with these, but also understanding that like some weeks, it may just be that there's not a ton that's happened, not a ton that I feel like I need to reflect on. And I'm kind of at a point now being back home and working full-time where I'm sure a lot of us can relate to who work full-time. It's kind of just like redundant and kind of the same thing. And sometimes you get caught in this loop of like, it's the same thing every day. What really is changing? But I think also by doing this, that's where I can kind of find ways to not feel so redundant and not feel so repetitive and kind of break away from that and find things to be excited for. So that being said, I am in a new location, different from where I normally do this. I ran up to the building in which I work and there's a little bench out here. So I was like, might as well just do it out here. It's cold, it's like 30 degrees, which in February in Minnesota sounds a little weird to say that that's cold, but it's been like in the 40s and 50s. It's been very nice, but today it's a little chilly. Anyways, what do I want to talk about this week? This week, including last week, a lot of it's going to deal with music specifically, because really since I've been back, that's the main thing that I've been doing is working on music, trying to get back into the swing of things, specifically music production. And I'll give a little backstory because I'm about to release the first and second track of an EP and then release the rest of the tracks on the EP in March. But those songs were actually created back in last July through October. Once October hit and I finished the third song on the EP, I transitioned into kind of preparing for my trip to Sierra Leone and Liberia. I was also working 7 days a week, and production kind of just got pushed to the backside. I had kind of done what I needed to. I knew I had one more track I needed to finish up, and was maybe gonna start that before I left, or I just start it once I got back. Well, I didn't start it before I leave. I didn't start it before I left. So once I got back, on my task list, because okay, you're gonna release an EP, but you got one more track that you got to finish. And getting back into music production, it's like anything that is a skill, and think of it like riding a bike. If you haven't rode a bike for, I don't know, a couple of years and then you hop on, it's not gonna be the easiest thing in the beginning. But I've had this weird thing happen specifically with music production over the last couple of years where it's like I work really hard when I'm here back home, working on music production, getting better at it, making actual music and songs and releasing that. But then I go and travel for an extended period of time and I don't work on music at all. And then I come back and every time I sit down for like the first week, I'm like, you did it. You ruined it. You have no idea how to make music. Your brain is broken. I don't know if I'll ever figure it out. And then after a week or two, consistently putting in the time every evening, even for an hour or two, then all of a sudden something clicks. You kind of get into that flow state and you're like, you know what? I might be the best music producer on the face of the earth. Which isn't actually the reality, but you kind of get in this flow state where it's like, no, I got this, I can figure this out. And really for me, music production, one of the biggest things is once I'm able to get into that flow state, I feel like I can crank ideas out, but getting into that flow state takes time. And that's where it's sometimes hard working full time, where it's like, I get home after work, I also get up really early in the morning around 4:30 or 5 to go to the gym before work. And so by the time I get home at 4:30, I eat dinner, it's 5:36, I really want to be in bed and asleep by like 8:30, 9 o'clock to be able to be up and to the gym the next morning. So sometimes it's hard to get into that flow state. But nonetheless, I got one more track coming on that EP. I kind of got some ideas laid out, and we'll see how it turns out. I think it'll be good. I think it'll be awesome to get that EP out and finished. I've sent it to a couple people just for them to listen, and the responses have been super good. So all I can hope for is that, you know, it provides some growth to my music project, to my brand, and creates more opportunities that I can showcase, play that music out, and just keep going with it. Make more music, release more music, find more shows to play, and continue to build the brand of Manatee. The next thing I want to talk about, which has been actually, I don't know, not difficult, but a little shocking on how not difficult it's been, because I think in the past when I've came back from traveling, it's been kind of there right on the forefront, and that is substance. I don't know, substance is something I feel like I've kind of wanted to talk about for a long time, and I'll probably talk about a bunch doing these reflections and in other videos I do over the course of my entire YouTube career. But it's fascinating to me. It's really interesting that when I go and travel, specifically to Sierra Leone, there is no substance whatsoever. And I'm hanging out with people the same age as me. Part of it, I think, is somewhat their culture, but also the religion. Most of my friends I hang out with there are of the Muslim religion. And so they don't drink, they don't smoke, they don't do anything. It's very like an organic way of life, which maybe sounds ridiculous, but it doesn't to me, because then when I come back to the US, substance is like on the forefront, I feel like, of our society, specifically alcohol, because it's legal. And here it's like, you work all week, you go out, and you go out to a bar, you go out to a show, you go out to an event, whatever it is, there's alcohol everywhere. You go out to dinner, there's alcohol. And I think since I've been back, I've been back almost a month now, and I've maybe had 2 drinks, maybe. And I've never per se struggled with substance. There's been periods of times where I've engaged in it more and engaged in it less. And the big thing for me is, and too, as you get older, it's not that I'm super old, but it's like as I get older, it takes more of a toll on your body, and more so it takes a toll on your mind. And I really like being consistent with my routines, getting up in the morning, going to the gym, doing work, exercising, eating good, just that. And substance will always has, and probably always will, take me out of that routine. And I just find that it's serving me less and less. I think the big change this time is that I went to Sierra Leone with my best friend, who also I've known for the last 7 years, and we've had a ton of life experience together. All kinds of crazy experiences, also experiences including substance. And it was really nice to be over there and be like reaffirmed by him on the thought of, you know what, like, I don't know, it just doesn't serve me anymore in the way that it used to. Every once in a while, it's fun to party, it's fun to go out and stuff like that, but it's not what it used to be, and I don't find the value in it that I once found. And it was nice to have someone else who is my best friend, someone else who we've partied a ton together, also be like, yeah, I feel the same way. So I think having someone else just to kind of affirm my thoughts, made the transition back here easier. And yeah, I also thought like there would be maybe a little more pressure from friends, from social events, from stuff like that, where it's like, you're not partying, you're not drinking, what's up? And so far it hasn't been that. I did go to a friend of mine, he performed for the first time the other weekend, and it's always kind of culture shock when I get back into the US and go to some kind of concert event where it's like, weird. This is just like what people here, my age, in the realm of stuff that I enjoy, do. Everyone on the weekends goes to shows, they spend money to get there. Once they get there, they pay outrageous prices, $9, $10 for a beer, for a drink, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like, that shit adds up. Over the course of a month, over the course of a couple months, over the course of a year, it's a couple grand. I can speak from experience. It's a lot of money. So yeah, I think what I'm trying to get at here is I'm feeling very grateful that my transition back from being overseas in regard to substance has been a very positive one, where I feel no real pressure, but also for my own self, I don't really feel any big desire or like craving per se to be like, I want to go out and party, or I want to, you know, have some drinks or this or that. Because honestly, last fall and last summer, I don't know what it was. I think I was overworked and just overtired, and I don't know what it was. I think I was like out of my mind last year, honestly. Doing way too much, trying to do way too much, running on empty for most of the year, and consuming substance. Not like a ton, but like pretty consistently. And I think it kind of took a toll on my health, my mind, my energy, my sleep, all those things. I mean, for sure it did. So very grateful for that, to be back. And I've been to a couple events already where it's like, I've actually been to 2 events where I haven't drank, no substance, nothing. And I've really enjoyed the event, because I had a friend back in December around my birthday that I was talking to about kind of feeling a disconnect as of lately regarding going to concerts and things like that. And I'm like, it just doesn't necessarily feel the way it used to. And she said something interesting where she's like, you love it for the art aspect of the production. You're not there for the party. You're there for the art. And I'm like, you're damn right. You hit it nail on the head. That's why I fell in love with this stuff in the first place. Music, DJing, content creation, because it's art. You get to create. And I don't know, there's nothing that brings me more joy, energy, and happiness than creating things. And yeah, so I'm starting to ramble a little bit, trying to get my thoughts back on track. It's nice being back and feeling well rested and not kind of feeling the weight of substance on my shoulders that maybe I felt in the past. So that's good. We'll see how it continues. A year is a very long time. A lot can happen, a lot can change, but I feel very good mentally, physically, health-wise. So that's awesome. The next thing is I want to give a shout out to this, I would call them a music collective. It's a music collective in the southern part of Minnesota called Akasha Savita, started by a good friend of mine named Mike. And I've had the opportunity to play one of their events, which was my biggest show I've ever played. I've also been to 2 of their events, and I don't know, when I see people doing things, trying to create things, trying to create opportunities and events for building community and those types of things, I'm like sold right away, because that's, I relate to that. That's what I'm trying to do. And so I met Mike before he even started his business, and he was telling me everything about it. And then I went to his event, got to play one of his events. I just went to his event last weekend, and yeah, it was so cool. It was down in Mankato, Minnesota, probably about 90 minutes, 100 minutes away from the cities. And I went down there by myself. Went to the show by myself. Ran into a handful of people from the music collective who remembered me. I remembered them, so that was really cool. But the biggest takeaway I had from that event is just the people who were there, were there because they knew the artists, they wanted to support their friends, and they really believe in what Mike is doing and the community that he's trying to build. And I think there's something really special about it. I have no clue if Mike ever watches these videos, but somehow, some way, Mike, if you do end up watching this video, I just want to give you a shout out, because I think what you're doing is pretty awesome. I think there's gonna be a lot of ways for us to collaborate in the future on different things. And I'm just excited to see your business and your community grow and be a part of it and be of service to it in any way. Because I think Akasha Savita is something really neat. And I think that market of southern Minnesota for electronic shows is wide open. I think there's tons and tons and tons of opportunity down there because there's no one else doing it. The market is completely open. Just keep at it, brother. The other thing I've been doing since I've been back is posting a lot on my stories, because once I got back from Sierra Leone, my first goal was, okay, take all the content that you shot on your phone and export it, organize it on your laptop into specific files for each day, and then put it back on your phone and repost it and kind of go through the whole trip. The reason why I did that is because when I was in Sierra Leone and Liberia, there was a handful of days, specifically Liberia, where I lost complete service and I wasn't able to post any stories. I also wanted on my Instagram, you can have the highlights feature where you can kind of save stories. And I really like having those to, I would want to say go back and look at them, but I never do, but they're cool to have. And the biggest thing is I just want to feel, my goal for the Sierra Leone Liberian content, get it posted, have it organized, and be able to have closure on the entire experience and content. And I think I've mentioned this last time, where with India, I never felt any sort of closure. I made a bunch of YouTube videos, they performed really bad, so then I took them off, and then I got kind of in my head and insecure, and I was like, why aren't they performing well? So then I reposted them, and they did a little better, but not much, and then I started posting tons of reels from every single video. Some of them did well, some of them didn't, but then I felt like my Instagram was getting like, just too much content. Like I was posting every day, and it's like, got to a point where it's like, there's quantity, but it's lacking quality. And so that's where I'm kind of trying to evolve into this next round of content from Sierra Leone and Liberia, is just how can I make this content quality, maybe less quantity, but up the quantity of it and provide value within that content that I share and create. And so far, I am about halfway through posting all the stories from the entire trip. And yeah, once I do, then I'll move on to kind of the YouTube series. As soon as I get that final track done for the EP that I'm releasing, then I'm gonna kind of switch to getting the YouTube series started and just get it running with YouTube over the next year. I'm feeling a lot less pressure on myself being home from this last trip, of not feeling like I have to do this, and this every single week, and if I don't, I'm just so hard on myself and I'm down on myself and I get in my head and stuff. It's like, I'm doing my absolute best. I work a 45-hour a week job. I go to the gym 5 days a week. Like I exercise consistently, I work a ton, and then I'm trying to kind of run and build 2 businesses. So it's a lot. And I'm only one person, and it's like, the thing is I'm gonna do my very best, and there's no real benefit I've learned recently to kind of being hard on myself, because all it does is really put me down and just kind of harm the overall production. But that being said, if you want to see more about the entire Sierra Leone Liberian trip before the YouTube series comes out, check it out on my Instagram, Manatee Media, or you can check it out at Walk for a Child. The content's a little different for each. Manatee Media is more really just everything. Also some funny moments. Walk for a Child is more kind of things specific to the walk itself, because it is an organization and a foundation. I want to kind of be more professional with what I post on there. So yeah, check those out if you're curious to see more of the trip. And the last thing I'll talk about before I get going with my day is I performed tonight, which is super exciting. I have a DJ competition, which is even more fun because most shows I've played, it hasn't been any competition based, and I love to compete. So I'm kind of fired up for that. It's a 30-minute set, so it's quick, but we're all competing for a chance to perform at a festival, I believe down in Kansas. It's called Dance Festopia. A good friend of mine, she won it last year. She's competing again this year, and I honestly wouldn't be shocked if she won it again. She has a really good fan base and is a very popular and well-known DJ in the cities. So it's really been cool to see her have a lot of success in the local scene, and then even getting the opportunity to go perform down there. And it's cool now that I have the opportunity to kind of compete in the same thing. The coolest thing though is, as I made my set last night, I have 30 minutes, but in that 30 minutes, I have 7 of my original tracks, and I think 3 or 4 edits I've created. So like over half of the set is all my work, which is crazy because I've spent so many years just DJing and DJing other people's music, which is totally fine. But I always had the dream of having my own music, and it's cool having my own music that then works and flows in and out of other people's music, and other people's music, like professional people that are like really good and actually doing the thing. So that's awesome. And I've been going in and out of this wave of, I have these waves of being super motivated, and I'm like, I want to do all these things this year. I'm gonna do them. I'm getting after them. And then there's days where it's kind of like the inspiration is kind of lost, or self-doubt creeps in. I think I spent probably over half of my life being a very insecure person, and I don't think that's a switch you just like turn off. It still creeps in. I think you just learn how to manage it and kind of overcome it and push through it. But every now and then it creeps in. I get in my head about things and kind of overthink things. But at the end of the day, there's also like a big part of me that doesn't give a fuck and is gonna do this thing and express myself in any way that I want to for these brands and for these projects. Because most people who have had any negative feedback, I don't want to say negative per se, I don't know, anything that really gets me in my head, especially things that people maybe have said or the way I feel like people feel, it doesn't matter, because one, that's probably only a perception that I'm creating in my own mind, and two, a lot of people who have made any kind of comments, like, they're not doing this, so they don't really know what it's like to be in this position, and you know, the grind aspect of like doing this. I'm forever will believe it's like, this stuff's gonna work. Of course it will. You know, I'm putting in tons of time, effort, and energy, and eventually I'm gonna figure out strategies that are gonna work and build growth to all these projects. So yeah, just gotta keep plugging along. Show is tonight. It's at this place called the Caboose. I've never played there before. Super excited. 30-minute set. Gonna have some friends coming. And yeah, I get to showcase my music. I get to connect and network with other local DJs in the Minneapolis area, arguably some of the best DJs in the entire Twin Cities, which is an honor to be a part of this event and arguably considered in that kind of realm of great DJs in the area. So yeah, I'm excited. I think this year is going to bring a lot of opportunity. It's February. It's really early in the year. There's tons of stuff yet to happen. So that being said, thanks for watching, checking in. Shout out to Dustin for actually doing this, because I know that all throughout the week I've kind of struggled back and forth on having motivation to do this, but like anything else, you just gotta get the reps in, continue practicing this, and I think I'll find ways to even evolve kind of this series and make it more fun and enjoyable for myself. But that being said, I will see you next week. Have a great week, and happy birthday.